get somebody else every time.
I know. Hey, we live, we back, we here. It's you, it's me.
Now the voice.
I know. It's Met Gala, Minnesota, and a guest.
Oh, that's good. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. We had some storms here, so I was a little nervous. So I'm like, oh my Lord. But other than that, it's a great thing. So we're gonna get it going. At
least we had that storm. I had to drive through the storm, and I have to tell you about it later. But all I can say is God is good all the time.
Yes, He is. Woo! That's what I'm talking about.
I'm here to do this show with you. And it was a close call. That's all I can say.
That's what I'm talking about. So we got to do it again. It is Interludes Extra presents Talk on Tuesdays. We're back. Hits. Let's go. It's another edition of Talk on Tuesdays. It is us. We are back. It is me and Coach Tony. And of course, we got to let you know who is sponsoring the episode. Man, oh man, I am so grateful that both you guys are joining us on this wonderful evening. Key Spot is also our affiliate sponsor. Connect, share, and grow. If you have a small business, please sign up with Key Spot. They'll let you and connect you with your right people. If you have a small business, go ahead and join them today. We'll ask Mr. Springer to place that in the chat. And then, of course, A DJ Saved My Life, Coach Tony. That's the latest ebook that's coming from me. Yours truly, Val the Voice. I'm excited about this. And, of course, that song comes to mind, right?
Always. Every time I think of the book, I'm always thinking about this night of DJ Saved My Life.
That's right. It gives the ABCs of broadcasting, podcasting. And on top of that, a little bit of my personal story. So if you guys want to check it out, please do so. And thanks to everyone who has purchased a ebook copy. We are going to be releasing it very, very soon. I have been talking with the publishers as well as my writing mentor. It's going to be printed. So that's what's taking the hiccup, Tony, is that it's going to be a printed book, and I'll be doing a book reveal very, very soon as I find out some stuff. Oh my gosh. And of course, if you want to learn how to do a podcast to get started, join our Patreon community. It is patreon.com/interludes. Oh my gosh, Coach Tony, there was a lot going on this past week, man. Past weekend. Well, how was your weekend? Because you were telling me that you were driving through some storms. And of course, if you're in the chat, let us know if you're here. Go ahead.
As you were saying, we're reading the tornado warnings in the Midwest, but I had an opportunity. I'm proud of my boys, my Tennessee Edge basketball team. Shout out to my guys. We went down to Rock Hill, South Kakalaka, and a little different down in South Carolina, but it was beautiful, Val. I mean, very, in that whole scenario and the area, coming through the foothills of Carolina and East Tennessee area, driving through the mountains. And on the way back, Val, we hit one pocket storm, then another pocket storm. So I'm thinking, okay, we could maybe be into a little rough ride. And then we got about 75% through the trip. And we were close to home, and how they always say things always happen when you get what? Close to home.
Close to home, yeah.
And it's crazy. And we were driving, and the good Lord actually tapped me on my shoulder and had me pull off and get some gas and use the bathroom, do some things with the boys. And lucky that I did, because me and another family that were following one another, if we hadn't pulled off exactly 10 to 15 minutes later, or 10 to 15 miles prior, there was a major accident where the tornado came across the highway, Val, and clipped 2 trees and knocked the trees down across the highway, of which one of the trees went into a cab of an 18-wheeler. And as I'm driving by, the gentleman falls out the truck in front of my vehicle. We stop and had to help. And then we look at the accident and everything going on, and it just jarred my brain, because all I could think the rest of the way home is that if we hadn't stopped, that would have been us. Not could have been us, it would have been us, because it was exactly 10 miles. And here's the funny part, Val. Before I made the stop, I'm driving, and to the left of me, I'm looking at this very, very dark cloud, pitch black. And you know how you see a streak of lightning out the sky? And as I see that lightning bolt, Val, I'm looking over, and I physically see a funnel trying to form. And I'm thinking to myself, that's a tornado. And my first mind, like a normal human being, says, you know something? Let me punch it. Let me outrun it. And I thought, no, man, you can't outrun no tornado. The tornado moving at 80, 90, 100 miles an hour itself. So I would have to drive 130 miles an hour to beat that, knowing that wasn't going to happen. And obviously, like I said, the good Lord pulled me over. So I'm just glad to be on Interludes Talk on Tuesday with my sister in a close call. But God is good all the time, and all the time God is good.
That's what I'm talking about. Man, oh man, you giving me a little bit of a scare. And a lot of tornadoes have been circling in the Midwest and upper plains. We got a touch of some goofiness, I want to say, this past literally about 3 or 4 hours ago. The lights went off here for about 5 minutes. It wasn't that long. And there was hail. Like, that's the second time we've experienced hail storms. And I was just thinking, it seems to be a little out of character. And it's, Mr. Springer has captured what you said. Hashtag God is good all the time. I'm happy you.
Global warming, Val. And if you don't believe it, you better research it.
I know. I see Mr. Wise is in the building. He says what's happening.
Wise media man in the house. As they say, Val, a wise man cometh.
Oh my gosh, a wise man coming. Now, here's the thing. I never get a chance. Now, this happened last night in New York. Some people are like, I never cover fashion. I don't do that. That's not my thing. But the Met Gala happened. And of course, this is like the who's who of the actors, fashion models, filmmakers, singers, songwriters. Everyone comes. Divine Joy, that's her. She won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actress. What was that?
I see. Yeah, but wasn't there some craziness outside going on at the Met last night with this?
What was happening right outside the Net was protesting. A lot of protesting. That has been happening pretty much very actively regarding the Gaza-Israel war. I think what's happening is that things are starting. I think recently President Biden has been speaking out about it, and they've been talking about cease firing and all the rest of that type of stuff. And I'm telling you, Coach, anyone that speaks on that war, you say anything against Israel, that's like career suicide. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's like and the crazy part about it, Val, is that whether you speak on it or not, it's just the things that are going. I was listening to the news the other day, and a guy gave a great synopsis. He says, some of these guys, he was I forgot the brother's name. He protested back in the 60s, a la Fisk. Fisk just turned 150 years old, by the way, American, on their graduation. And they had Al Roker in the house doing everything commencement here in Nashville, Tennessee. But, he was saying that when you look at the way things are going and all that, you got to be very careful, because you support one thing and all of a sudden on the other side, like, wait a minute, Val supported this. And all of a sudden someone's coming at you about nonsense stuff, so to speak. And the other piece was, he was saying, back in the 60s, we knew what the guys were marching for. the peace, the Martin Luther Kings and the Malcolm X's and everyone else was Randolph and everyone else was with them. Now you get these guys that's supposed to be marching for peace, so to speak, when it turns to this Middle East stuff. But then you got a lot of people that are just out here doing nonsense, like tearing things up, setting things on fire, going to these universities and walking in the middle of a commencement, setting off firecrackers and stuff. That's stupid.
Yeah.
It's just, it's ignorant. So,
and here's the thing. If I have been paying for my child to go to whatever university, HBCU, PWI, whatever it is, I don't want the thing that I want to see, which is the degree, and you walking across the stage and I got my camera and I'm ready to take your picture and it gets interrupted by whatever. Nonsense. So, and here's the thing, not that the true protesters, not that that's nonsense and what they're protesting about, but when unfortunately people will use that to move in and do absolutely nefarious things, which is not good at all. I love the organized protesting against what's happening regarding the war, because it's very disturbing. The thing that kicked off the war, which I think happened back in October of 2023, it was a music fest. It was a music fest. And that's what happened. And a lot of people got kidnapped and unfortunately died and have been dying. So like I said, politics is not my lane.
And if you look at that whole situation, and we'll make this last one to get our guests here. But if you look at that scenario, Val, you can't stop. I was talking to somebody the other day. You can't stop a situation that's been going on way before BC, before Christ. This has been going on since the beginning of time. And we, when I say we Americans trying to understand and figure it out, you're not going to understand it. You're not going to figure it out. So all we can do is just do our part to kind of stay neutral in it, which is what the president's trying to do. But at the same time, because we are the land of the free, right, and land of the equality, these students find themselves here in the United States, and now they're trying to make people pick sides. That's the only thing I don't like about it.
And Kevin has placed in the chat, said Columbia seniors, this is Columbia University in New York, parents say canceling commencement is a demoralizing end. And they're talking about they want to go ahead and do that. Thank you so very much, Mr. Springer, for putting that in the chat. But definitely my last part on this is that for all that have lost a loved one in regards to that or what's happening, I'm praying, I don't know about anybody else, I'm praying for a resolution. In the same way that when the war broke out between Ukraine and Russia, I'm praying for a resolution with that, because people get caught up in those things that have nothing to do with that. So that's all I'll be saying about that. But here we go. I'm going to make a very sharp pivot here back to our chat here. So the Met Gala was happening. This is the Zendaya. I think she was the one that got the most press regarding her look. Don't ask me which designers the people had on. I know the people, but definitely there were some of the Jennifer Lopez, I think it was like a co-chair, so she was there as well. Exactly. And then of course it was good to see Serena Williams and also
Palmer. And wasn't Venus there as well?
I'm not sure if Venus was there. I know this is Serena to the left, and then you have Keke Palmer, who's really coming to her own.
She really comes on. I love her commercials, by the way. That commercial, she's starting to do a thing.
I know.
This is baby girl Akila and the beat, and them balling out this thing.
I know. And then thank you so much for being here, Queen Lakeisha. Thanks for being here. And then we have Black Empowered. Oh my gosh. Okay, we see you. We see you. Oh my goodness.
And gave us 3 aces. Okay.
I know. Now we're gonna jump into this. The BET Awards, they did their nominations, and do you know, even despite what's going on with Diddy, they have nominated him for some awards.
I'm upset. I'm upset for a totally different reason. You know, and again, people fight me for it, but I'm a DJ and I'm a
Okay.
Chicago guy and I'm a ride or
Okay.
die guy. And I've been there, done that, been hanging out this guy house, been partied and so forth and so on. Just didn't get none of that craziness. But, you know, if you're going to drop my guy R. Kelly, you know, I know people go crazy when you start bringing up his name, but the music didn't do anything to anybody. How are you going to nominate this guy, P. Diddy, when the things that are coming about from P. Diddy, from what you're seeing and or hearing, and is allegedly is way more terrible. You know, we're talking about grown women and doing some different things, and a lot of other situations. And I mean, we got both sides of the gallows with him: men, women, young boys, the whole 9 yards. So for
Right.
BET to nominate this guy amazes me. And they pulled off R. Kelly's music again. I'm not a supporter, but I like the music. Uh, you can't keep playing the Diddy music. But as someone mentioned the other day, if you pull out Diddy and Diddy's music, you know how many artists you kill? R. Kelly was a feature, but Diddy was a producer. You know what I mean?
Well, no, R. Kelly was also a producer as well.
Sure, but he
Yeah.
wasn't in that Diddy lane.
Right. So here's the thing. This is according to the Hollywood Reporter. Diddy and also embattled actor Jonathan Majors have appeared on the ballot to be picked for the BET Awards nominee. Now that award show is going to be kicking off on June 30th. And of course, that they always have the BET Awards in June because that's Black Music Month. We'll be talking about that. So they said first round voting to help determine the nominees. And they said Combs' The Love album, Off the Grid, is on the ballot for Album of the Year, which,
Wow.
okay, I guess I don't, okay. And then, of course,
Oh, he
Majors
got some nice
is,
tracks on. He got some very nice tracks on.
okay, and Majors is in contention for Best Actor alongside 100 other performers and to be considered for Creed 3, which was released last year before everything, before everything happened on March 3rd when that movie came out. And we reviewed that movie here on Interludes.
Yeah.
He did an excellent job in Creed 3. It's one of his best performances. But here's the thing: if there is controversy and some of it has been proven, should you be nominated? I don't know.
I don't think so, Val. I mean, I'm a different. I'm of the. It's different, you know, and this is what gets me because we are different. When I say we, people,
Mm-hmm.
we mentioned this the other night. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you do something wrong, they take Pete Rose off the ballot. Yeah, he betted on his game, and it was against the violations of Major League Baseball, but they still got him off the ballot. You know, Reggie Bush, they took him off the ballot for autographing the jersey, and now 20 years later, they give him his Heisman Trophy back because NIL deals now happening in college sports, right? They just basically
Okay.
NCAA said that we really don't want to say I'm sorry, but we're saying I'm sorry in a different kind of way. So, you know, when you're looking at the situation in that's how that becomes. Now you move to the music industry, which we already know is one of a very cutthroat, and our guest is going to talk a little bit about that. But when you have a situation like this with an artist and a musician, I don't know, Val. You know, me personally, I think if you stay with the norm, you take both of these guys off the ballot. It's just my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they are being considered, but they're on the ballot. And so this made news because, and keep in mind, I feel like a lot of the things with Diddy is still in that alleged state. And then of course, Jonathan Majors, his case went to court. And so he was
He's already
found
been
guilty.
found guilty.
Right. He's already been found guilty. So it's a matter of just, if you know that this is, people are going to be excited and celebrating and excited about, the music and everything and going to go, and they're going to attend the award show, why not keep the folks that are dealing with stuff off the ballot?
Correct.
Now, I'm saying this as a wink and a nod to should anybody be running for president if you have issues? Okay, so I just thought I'd put that out there,
Hey, but again, Hey, as Kendrick Lamar said, this is America. That's all I'm
Okay.
gonna say. Tell them, put it in the chat line, Springer. This is America.
I don't know. I thought that was the other guy. So anyway, but thank you so very much for that, Mr. Springer. If there has been controversy, should you be nominated? I don't really think you should. I think unfortunately it's, and publicists give this advice to anyone that is dealing with a court case or if they've caught any kind of case. You stay off social media.
Right.
You take a chill pill on everything else, and if you are nominated, you're like, no, take my name off the ballot. Like these things, you have to wait these things out.
That's the guest that doesn't show up, and then the honoree has to accept the award for.
Exactly. So that's kind of how that works. Oh my gosh.
I
Well,
want to hear from our guest tonight. This is going to be very good because she's in that industry, so I want to hear what she has to think about that.
I know. She has been. We met through Clubhouse. She has been a guest on my after show, which has been it's been a fun time.
I love the after show.
A lot of folks love the after show. It's really a cool experience. But here's the thing. This young lady, number one, she has been named as a transformative leader and a visionary. She has a music collective. In other words, she helps other folks and guides them. There's also the wonderful spiritual side of things. She has a prayer line. It's amazing. She is currently managing her daughter.
Okay.
And this is what's very exciting. She's currently managing her daughter. And here's the thing. When we covered the Diddy situation, she was able to go, aha, Valerie, there's a number one reason why you should be independent. And I've been independent and I have been making it and thriving. So I definitely want to bring I want to bring on and introduce to some, and on LinkedIn, she is officially known as Dr. Tina Michelle, right. But we're going to bring her on. It is Tina Michelle. Hey, Tina. Woo.
Yay, I am here.
And by the way, Dr. Michelle, I made sure that I linked up with you, so make sure you accept that for me. And I am very proud to be sitting here speaking to you tonight. And thank you for coming on Interludes Talk on Tuesday with Val and myself.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure.
Oh my gosh,
Tina. My
Tina.
voice is still a little hoarse. Remember, Val, I told you my voice has been a little shot. So, forgive the frogginess.
Okay, well, I don't hear any. Do you hear a frog? I don't hear a frog. We didn't hear a frog.
I heard some cicadas. I hear no frogs though.
Oh my gosh, Tina, I have so many questions, but I think the number one question that comes to mind is getting started when you were thinking creatively, like I would like to do something in either music or do something in entertainment. Where did your passion lean into first, and how long ago did you get started?
I didn't have a choice. Music was my second language. Okay. My mother was a singer. My father went to Juilliard and played every instrument. Music was our second language. I probably sang before I could really speak. And, I could sight sing, knew my intervals before the age of 5. And with a lot of the indigenous influence in my family, I, did a lot of improvisation with flute and wooden flute before 5. It was just part of my life. It was never, I'm going to do something special called music. And being raised in the Missionary Baptist Church, all my cousins sounded like Whitney Houston. So all of them, right? That was just Sunday and a Tuesday night choir rehearsal. Right. That's it. So it wasn't something that I thought was different. It was an expression that was very permitted in my household and encouraged. And I sang with my mother a lot, sang with my cousins a lot. My father, again, he was a musician, and so it was never like, are you going to aspire to be an artist? I really, to me, not doing music wasn't an option. I was going to do music and dot dot dot. So whether it's going to be
Right.
law and music, medicine and music, it was going to be, that was the breath of my house.
Wow.
I,
And a
I,
lot of
yeah.
a lot of people focus in on the art of performing. They
Mhm.
focus on music and actually performing it and singing it. But
Mhm.
a lot of people forget that music is a business.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, you decided I want to start on learning and producing my own music. I want to start my own label. I want to be independent. Where did that desire come from, and who were some of the first people that you worked with?
Well, I don't think it was a conscious decision. It was an evolution of activities. We used to
Mhm.
jam at my house with my mama in that big encasement speaker thing, it was like furniture, and you
Right.
plug into the aux. And she said one day, you don't have to stop, you just can't keep going here. So we had to find other places to create. And I didn't know it was a big deal for me to get a venue at 14 years old and talk to a venue and get the money and do a
14?
show. We just did it because we wanted to. So it was never a get into the music industry thing. It was, I'm going to do this show. We can't practice at home anymore. Let's get all our friends together. Let's jam, right? I'm from a little town called Tarrytown, New York,
Mhm.
right outside of White Plains, New York.
Yep.
Most people know White
Upstate.
Plains. And
Upstate.
so it was a cute little town where, again, everyone knew each other. My grandfather lived there. He had 11 siblings. So everybody was my cousin. From the school nurse to my guidance counselor, they were my cousins in them. So they all sort of knew me for taking the extra step. Where music was in my house, it wasn't pursued like maybe my other relatives. For me, it just was natural. I was always writing from a young age. So we did our first show at the Tarrytown Music Hall, and there was a
Oh,
gentleman that let us do the show, Pete Cullen. He laughed at us, but we were catwalk rats. So if there was a show going on, we would sneak in, go into the catwalks, and then finally he caught us, and so then we started to learn how to hang Fresnels, hang Lecos, do lighting, because hey, we're there anyway for free. We might as well
Right.
work. So
We'll
that's
be doing something.
it. Just everything became very organic, and we just didn't have a limitation to what we believed we could do. We just did whatever we wanted to do. From even when it came to audio visual, I mean, I was shooting with Ikegami cameras at 13 years old for local television. We did a full repilation of Attack of the Killer Tomato. Remember that
I
sci-fi?
know Killer Tomato.
yeah.
Well, we did Attack of the Killer Ferret, and we did the whole movie and put it on local access. And then before we knew it, it's on local access, and now we're playing basement records, and we're playing house mixes, and
Basement.
we're
There
playing
you go.
we're doing all these. So we wanted to do it, we did it. That's the only way I can explain it. It was
That
at the
is incredible.
cusp. It was at the cusp of music, rap, hip hop, before we made money in the game. And I really believe in, not to be funny or arrogant, but I believe that we sort of were part of that transition, right?
Mhm.
We sort
Mhm.
of created that space, and um, working with people at Mount Vernon High, and I was sort of on the outside looking in with that group, because I was not an R&B or hip hop artist. I was a rock artist. So I was one of
Wow.
the was one of the few black female heavy metal artists and DJs in New York.
Oh,
I
wow.
hosted Metal Shop.
Wow.
And of course,
Yes.
Heavy D, money earning Mount Vernon, you know,
Those were the talent shows. I mean, we
exactly.
progressed from my mama house to the music hall to competing with White Plains, thinking we're something, being at the studio, my not studio. Really, my adopted brother, he was the talent. So
Okay.
again, I didn't know it was a big deal, right? He played like you would not believe it, 12, 13 years old. He was already being mentored by Miles Davis at 13 years old. He was
Oh,
Wow.
already one of the co-music directors for Atlantic Star at 14 years old. So I didn't think it was a big deal because we met all these people at the Sam Ash in White Plains on Martine
got it.
Avenue, where
Yep.
everybody else was at the mall. We're in the closed up music room with all like, the Korgs and the Trinity and the Triton, and we're sitting there playing the piano, and I'm playing my flute. That was after
Trent.
school
Yeah,
activity for us.
yeah, that
That's
was.
what we did.
And the crazy part about that, because you see my shirt, it's all about house music. I'm a house music DJ. Come on now, I love you.
I
I'm so
love my
glad you
house music. Can't play with me.
can play with me. But you're sitting in there, you're in White Plains, you're in the upstate New York, but you're a little south of what I consider where the soul and the funk come out of in New York, and that's in terms of Buffalo, in terms of Rick James and Tina Marie.
That's
And,
right.
and at
But that's
that time,
upstate. People don't
exactly,
realize that we're not upstate. Tarrytown is not upstate.
correct, correct.
Buffalo, Albany,
Buffalo is all the
Schenectady,
way.
yeah,
As my boy can go all the way up, and when you
to
get up,
Canada.
go all the way up. So you right there on that border going across to Canada almost. So when you're looking at Rick and Tina Marie and what they were doing at that time, and you guys on the cusp of making those changes, and you're doing those things, how much of an influence, being a New Yorker, was that you saw what that Tina Marie and Rick was out there? They were like way out there. They were like icons at that
I
time.
didn't even know. I mean, I saw Tina Marie in the studio a few times, but my mom used to hang out with the OJs. She used to hang out with
Oh,
people that are already in the game. She sang
Wow.
backup. We lived in a little town called Tarrytown. If you know anything about Tarrytown, it's known for
yep,
its bridge, its marina.
yep,
So all the parties from Manhattan would come 30 minutes up the river
correct.
and dock their boat in Tarrytown and party. So I knew people that I didn't even know were famous, like Andrew Woolfolk. He's the reason why I really played flute, and he was the
Mm.
woodwindist for Earth, Wind, and Fire. So I saw Earth, Wind, and Fire all the time as a kid,
Oh
all the
man,
time. And my mom, I mean, she was one of the people who introduced it to most people. She was so into the music, and she worked with she even sang backup, backup. You know how they have relief backup for certain songs locally for Bloodstone. So she was already in the conversation. So it wasn't, oh, this person influenced or well, that's a lie. I'll be dead lying if I didn't tell you I didn't get a Jerry Curl like Prince for Purple Rain. I sure did. I love me Purple Rain and Thriller.
did you think he was one of Apollonia's six when the Sixers was on stage?
It's funny because I never paid attention to them. I
Oh,
met
okay,
Denise. I met Denise later, but I've
yeah,
always I played the guitar as well, so I always paid attention to the acts. My
man.
first recording, my first recording session, I was about almost 16, and I
Mm-hmm.
was blessed to be able to go to Electro Lady Studios with Kashif, and that
Good
was the house
Gee,
Steve.
that Jimi
Oh.
Hendrix built. So I
yeah.
was like, I could die now. I could just lay here with in the house that Jimi Hendrix built, and I don't need anything else in life. That's just how
Tina,
I felt.
Ooh,
I have to say this, that usually people are saying when they're in their teens or preteens or something like that, like you have a childhood, but it's like the childhood or your very beginning of it is like, no, we were very excited to just do music. And sounds like you play up to 4 or 5 instruments. How many
Several. I
instruments?
mean, it was
Yeah.
just about music. It wasn't about
Okay.
concentration. It wasn't about I'm gonna be famous singing. We all sang. If it made
right.
sound, we played it. I played drums. I played clarinet, flute, oboe. I got to college on woodwinds.
Oh
Wow.
Right.
wow.
I got to college on woodwinds. That was my first entree into my scholarship. But I switched majors into political science.
Hey,
When did
so
it,
whatever I'm a political science major too, girl. I like that. Poli sci communication, so I get it.
when did the transition come from you, performing, you're doing music, you're, people are coming into your world and they're famous, and it's no big deal to you because you've grown up that way.
They
You're in
weren't famous
college.
when I met them. We were all struck. We were just kids.
Okay.
They
So
became
it was
famous.
like everybody was on that going on that upward swing. So you guys hadn't really made it, but they were getting out
Mm-mm.
there at that time.
No, I mean, we were just kids doing talent shows. I mean, Andre Harrell came to the talent show
Right. Okay.
that started, Uptown. We already had communication with James Todd, that's LL. They were
Hmm.
all in the same place. They were not famous. We were kids.
Right. And
Wow.
And so
of course,
everybody was
Apollo
doing their
was
thing. I
uptown,
was on the
uptown.
outside
That was
again
good.
looking in. I'm not rapping or anything. I'm sort of just there doing my thing musically because I played rock. But we would come together ever so often because, metal and hip hop had a
Right.
convergence in Brooklyn in those areas with the Black Rock Coalition. So we did a lot of shows together. But
Sure.
a lot of it had to do with Kevin Dean. Kevin Dean, my brother, he's the genius in the space, and he was playing as a kid. We couldn't even understand what he was playing because he was into fusion, Spyrogyra, Yellow
I was down.
Jackets,
Okay.
all that other stuff. And like we're kids,
Mhm.
and he's playing, Alan Holdsworth and Paquito de Rivera and Daniel Ponce, and I'm like, what is that? So we're,
Right.
so it was. We had every experience, every
That was
experience musically.
that's hot. And the funny thing about it, you just said something which is amazing because I went to the '86 Hip Hop Fresh Fest by Def Jam, and it opened up with the Beastie Boys,
That's right.
followed by LL Cool J
Hmm.
with Public Enemy, and closed out with DMC. And
Hmm.
as you say, and that was the hot jam that DMC had with Aerosmith and Walk This
Hmm.
Way. He
That was
jumped
That's
out
huge.
on
right.
stage, and
That's
people were like,
right.
how? Yeah, they confusing rock with hip hop, and DMC made it happen. And all of a sudden, number one
Hmm.
video worldwide. So it was amazing. Did you get the opportunity, as once you found out that you were talented? What were some of the artists that were also coming up that you had the opportunity to kind of do some things with?
Well, again, I was sort of isolated from the R&B cats, right? Because I was a rock kid, but I
Okay.
was in the lab with them, right? So I was in the lab with my brother. So he worked with Luther Vandross, Atlantic Star. I mean, all of them. We were in Minot Studios, and he's the one recording them. He
Wow,
was mentored by Miles Davis, right? And that
wow,
was sort of scary, because he's an interesting personality. But so we were able to be introduced very early to me, the best of the best. We worked with Quincy Jones. We worked with a lot of different people because we are musicians. We're not button pushers.
Oh, okay.
Big difference.
Big
So we could
difference.
get in the studio and then walk around, and then Kevin's playing the piano. So I said, let me pick up the bass. Okay, he's picking up the bass. Well, okay, I'm going to play the rhythm on this. Just let's get the song done. Right. We
right.
didn't think that was a big deal until we go in the studio when we're working. And I'll never forget, it was she was older, um, probably in her like 20s. We had to be still 15, 16 years old. And we
Okay.
went from Minot, from Sam Ash to my mom worked in White Plains, by the way. Right.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
So we lived in Tarrytown, but my mom worked in White Plains. We would take the 13 bus and we would go to the Galleria, get off the bus, hang out at Sam Ash, and then my mom would meet us after work and we would have like pizza or something and then go home
wow,
with her. So that was our experience. So Iris Cohen, who was a young lady who looked at me and she could hear how I was talking about the music and how the vocals are bleeding over and it's noisy and this and that. And she was the first female engineer I ever met. She taught me how to mix a record.
What?
wow,
Yeah, she taught me how to mix. So
Oh.
she was the one who would, took me behind the board at the studio and said, "Here's the channels." And to this day, I do finite production.
okay,
Where you don't really hear that much. People call it a mix. They dump it, and I'm like, no, separate all the tracks. Everything has its own sound, its own resonance. Let's lay out the vocal, right?
wow.
Yeah. So now you have been exposed to tens of talented musicians. You've
Yeah.
been taught how to mix a record. There's like a litany of things. How do you now in your mind say, I can make a career out of this? When did that happen? In college or a little
I
bit
never
past
thought, I hate to say it, I never thought of it that way. I went to
that? Okay.
school
Hmm.
abroad, and it
Oh,
was
okay.
so different than being in America
Okay.
and so oppressive, right?
Wow.
That I sort of came home and couldn't wait, like to just be free again, right? And
Mhm.
so I went to New York University. I first went to community college because I was only 16, just turned 16 when
Okay.
I went to college. And my
Mhm.
mom said, you can't go away, but I did anyway. I went and did a fellowship in London. And that was a
Oh,
Wow.
culture shock,
I
culture
love
shock.
it.
So when I came back, I went to New York University. And
Yay.
when my English class, Comp and Lit, had 350 students in my Comp and Lit class compared to, the little sort of satellite school I went to, I only had 350 kids in the whole school,
Right.
right? And so it was a great culture shock. But I was in the middle of it all, right? In the village, we were at SOB, Sounds of Brazil, we were at Nels, we
Yeah.
were here and there, and
Mhm.
we were
Nails.
house
Oh
kids.
my
We
God.
loved house music. So no matter what we were into, we were going to Paradise Garage at midnight. We were not going there before that. We wanted all the tourists and the normies to leave so we could go to Paradise Garage and listen to.
The best. And my sister was there. She was in the village at that time, mid 80s, and we used to go to Nails down out first and then Studio
I
54 as
saw
well.
Prince jam with, I saw Prince. This was, I mean, talk about experiences. I was in Nels. I saw Prince walk in with his entourage. Didn't know it was Prince because he's so tiny, which was very, very disappointing. And he was surrounded by people. You just saw these like satin high heel shoes, like
Right.
under. And I'm like, who is that? Who is that? Then I saw someone come from the other side because someone said he's here. And this is 1 o'clock in the morning. It's
Yeah.
just beginning to start.
Right.
And so then I look on the stage and there's an upright bass and Sting gets on the bass, Prince
Oh,
gets on the piano, and they
oh,
jam, just jam. Sheila
oh,
E walks in and just lights up. Oh my gosh, it was the
oh.
most. So those are the things I miss
Sting,
about New
Sting,
York.
Man,
Sting.
see,
Huh?
and those Sting, Peter Gabriel,
Sting
Phil
on the
Collins are
upright
one of
bass.
my three
Oh,
best artists.
wow.
That's just experiences of living in New York, being a kid in New York.
Yeah,
And I mean, I'm in the West now, so I'm like, there's certain things I wish my daughter went to. Like my mother took me to Harlem, and I got to see Ben
right.
Vereen. I went to Rochambeau Dance Theater. I went to see
Yes.
the Harlem Dance Theater. I hung out with the Harlem Boys Choir, and
You can go
the
to Nail
Mr. Turnbull, who was the choir director there, was my best. Hang out with them. So we had such an experience of music and dance all the time. It was like music in the streets, music in school, all the time. It was just expression.
Oh,
And see that's the one of the reasons
The
why
money
I
just happened. I mean, I wish I could say to someone, I woke up one day and said, that's it, I'm going to be a musician. No, out of necessity, I became a manager. I never
right.
thought about not gigging. I was going to always make money. I had several businesses, even at the age of 18. I sold
Mhm.
my first business when I was 19 years old.
oh,
I
wow.
started the
Amazing.
marketing business, ripped my business apart, sold it for 500,000. 19 was already more than my parents have made at probably ever at one time. So that had
Wow.
nothing to do with music. But my brother was in the game,
Right.
and we're nerdy kids. Like we're nerdy. We're not like, oh, we're in the hood. We've been around the hood. We talked about the hood, but we're from Terrytown, reality check. Okay,
Now,
just
that's
like
like being from
people can say a
Oak
lot of
Park,
things about
Naperville.
Diddy.
Naperville,
Diddy
right?
Diddy was raised in Mount Vernon. You know what I mean? There's just a
Yep.
difference in being raised in Brooklyn. Your uncle
Mhm.
might be from Brooklyn. I used to visit Brooklyn in the summers. I'm from Tarrytown. So our musicality was different. We weren't rich. We were raised by my mom. She was a single mom. She worked 3 jobs, right?
Right.
But there was no projects inside of my household. We might have lived in project housing in Tarrytown,
Hmm.
but there were no projects in my household. We
Okay.
walked into our house and we hung out with Langston Hughes. We hung out with Richard Wright. We hung out with Queen Afua. We hung out with the best thinkers in the world. Those are my mother's friends.
Wow.
Richie Havens, every time he played in Tarrytown, ate dinner at our house and hung out with us. And he was all the Black freedom movement. So it was a different experience.
Man,
So
that
let
is
me
sweet.
let me stop you right here because you know, Coach, you see how she's just name dropping like a
She
mug,
just,
right?
and the only thing she didn't tell us that and I know being in Harlem, you got a chance to go to Monell's and eat. So, bam, I mean, that's
Yeah.
Oh man.
come on now.
Do you remember how good Sylvia's used to be?
Used to
Yeah,
be, yes. I
Sylvia's.
remember
yeah,
that. But I didn't get to New York till '01. So a
yeah.
lot had
So,
changed by the time I got to New York. So
and so my family
um
was in there, so I spent time up there, 125th and 5th, Marcus Garvey projects. Still got family over in Washington Heights. So when my sister was there, that's how I got an opportunity to get the nails and all that down in the village, and it was amazing. And then, of course, I'm a Chicago guy, so my mom ended up selling in the city and being in Chicago all the time. It was like tit for tat. But to just listen to the people that you talk about, and Val and I are huge music guys, being on the house music side in that early 80s in Chicago. I came through the house music where we basically fought against hip hop coming because, I didn't jump over there because I thought that was just going to be a quick fad. Plus, I'm coming off all this wonderful people in the city of Chicago who founded house music. And then you got Frankie Knuckles being in New York, back and forth between Studio 54 and Nails,
And
then being
one of my really good friends I am grateful to say that he's still doing his thing, CC Rogers
okay.
and Marshall Jefferson, you
Mark,
know,
there you go.
yes, those are that's the fam, right?
The
So
fam.
that's
Okay.
house music to me.
That's house music, girl.
and
That's hey,
that
that's a
we
house music anthem.
That's right.
we in Chicago have built our crux on house music, and definitely those giants who you just mentioned, they're the ones that like pave the way for that. And I feel, and the argument always goes back and forth: did house music come from Chicago or come from New York?
I
And
know.
I think, and I hate that I've been told this a couple of times. The parts of it started in New York, but Chicago took it to the next level. Would you agree with that, Tina?
I do, but I say Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm agree with you, Tina. And the
I
reason
say
why,
Chicago, not Chicago, not New
right,
York,
right,
Chicago.
right,
It
and
was
Chicago.
because
both
Okay, that's
Frankie,
good.
markets. It
yeah,
was
because
the
Frankie got his
aggression of
start.
New Yorkers. Like we are aggressive in a whole different
Oh,
way.
yes, you
Um,
are.
but
Yes.
Chicago is loyal in a whole different way. Like
Yes,
they like the same thing, they'll order the same thing. You need to give me my Chicago beef with my sauce a specific way. I don't want it any other way.
none.
If you do it any other way, I'm never coming here again because you ruined my experience.
And I'm gonna
That's
talk about
Chicago.
you. And I'm gonna talk about you.
And I'm gonna talk about you.
Oh my God. So you said earlier that you you had to transition into management, whether you were like, I love jamming, I've sold this business, I've done some other things, but now you're managing artists, and one of the artists you're managing is your daughter's name.
Well, her stage name is I Am Kai, like I then am Kai, because she's a visionary and has been since she was a child. She has a strong prophetic gift, and she announced herself here. She named
Okay.
herself. So
Okay.
before she even came here, I had a dream of her, and I said, "What is your name?" She said, "My name is Shekinah Grace."
Okay.
And
Love.
so, and I was like, "Well, where's your parents?" She's like, "You're my mom, and are you ready? We're going to change the world."
Oh wow. I like her
Yes,
Wow.
already.
she's awesome. You saw a little piece of her backstage. She's actually writing another project. I don't know how many songs she wants to write, but she's done 88 songs and released 88 songs in less than 2 years.
Oh my
Oh,
God. And
man.
you're managing and producing her right now.
Yeah, well, she's in the studio right now. She's actually doing her own thing right now, with a producer who's also her affianced. Um, but she was the same way like I was raised. She has hundreds of songs,
Hmm.
but she
And
has screenplays and she has poetry. Whatever creative outlet is available to her, that's what she expressed herself through.
When she listens to you and all
mhm.
that, and that's going to be easy for me to remember because Val, my nephew, was on with us. He's a hip hop artist out of Atlanta, and that's his name. I am Reek. Same way. I
Oh
the
wow.
A L
Wow.
and Reek. And what's up,
there
Kyle?
she
That's my
is.
girl. So
Hello.
I'm so glad you showed up because this question is almost for you. So because of the old style, that mom, and when I say old style, meaning that the bottom base of the R&B, disco in the house and all that, and then you got the mixture of hip hop and new EDM / whatever.
And new wave. I was a big
new wave.
fan.
Yeah. What sound,
Pure
Kai,
Depeche Mode.
are you trying? I like Depeche Mode. And Kai, what sound are you coming out with, or what's your sound that when people go to listen to your music, what are you trying to? What's your sound?
Yeah, well, hello. I am Kai. I am Tina Michelle's daughter. I'm a performance artist via the genre of pop music, and I make theatric pop.
Theatrical pop.
I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah,
So I get to walk around with the tights on and get out.
That's right.
Yes.
And you know, so tell me the story behind Madam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The story behind Madam, my second single ever. Literally, this song is just literally like the tone of I Am Kai. I'm an anti-bullying brand. I literally just love being theatric, of course, always, but I'm an anti-bullying brand, and we always talk about mental health and, you know, just restoring the mind and doing inner trauma healing. And that's what my mother has taught me. She is my everything. And so Madam was just about a girl whose voice was taken from her, and she is just proclaiming it and getting it back. It is an anti-bullying anthem just for all people to recognize that you are royalty no matter what. So yeah, that's basically it. Yay!
Tina,
I am and
Tina, she ain't a day younger than 50.
Coach, we'll do a little bit of a premiere of this if you wouldn't mind. I Am Kai.
Of
This is
course.
Madam. I'd like to
Come
go
on, we
ahead
got-
and
we
play it
got
for our
the-
audience right now.
Yes.
Pardon me, mister. I'm Madam Glitter. If that makes you bitter, I'll mount you like an art piece. Match my technology. You wanna rock with me? Cause I got the juice. You know that it's true. So get out the cut if you can come through. Or show up, blow up, pay up, call me Madam. Deeper, sweet words to say, call me Madam. I am your queen, suck on my ring, conquer you with your majesty. Show up, blow up, pay up, call me Madam. Pardon me, sister, I'm a go-getter. If that makes you bitter, you need to move along, please. Back where I'm from, you see, they call me the prophecy, cause I say the truth, you know that I do. So get with the vibe or go back to school. Or show up, blow up, pay up, call me Madam. Deeper, sweet words to say, call me Madam. I am your queen, suck on the string, conquer you with your majesty. Show up, blow up, pay up, call me Madam. I am your majesty. Don't you want me to be your majesty? I am your majesty. Don't you want me to be your majesty? I am your majesty. Don't you want me to be your majesty? I am your majesty. I am your majesty. I am, and when we rise to the top, you be the bread for the ground and the crop. I'm vexing my mind while you're losing control. I was always meant to claim this throne. Back up, bro. You don't know. We're the reason why you're here, yo. This is pride, glorified. It's the beast we keep inside. Show up, blow up,
am Kai.
Man,
Adam.
hey, I'm blowing up. Hey, Tina,
Wow.
tell Kai, let me know. I'm gonna pull the turntables out. I'm DJing in the background. We on the road. I got you. Look,
Well, that was her second single ever.
Wow.
And she produced, she wrote, she did her own video.
that's,
So
that's dope.
I wasn't managing her then. I told her I would not manage her until she got some business chops.
Oh,
So
Okay.
learn how to release your record, promote your record, secure a venue, do a live show, hire your team, hire your crew. Then you're a CEO, which is the most important thing you can be in this game.
Okay.
yeah. And I think a lot of people miss that. They miss, and I think that's what is missing from a lot of artists now. I feel like the A&R department doesn't exist anymore. No
Mhm.
one is teaching the artists about the business side of music. And it's brilliant. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because you and your daughter, you are independent and thriving in that. And what would be the advice that you would give to any artist that is upcoming, that wants to promote their music, and they're the artist, but they need to market themselves? What would you what advice would you give them?
The hard truth, right? So
Mhm.
I've worked on both sides. I also worked with one of my best friends, Harry Polliner,
Oh,
who was the senior vice president of ASCAP, right? And so I got a chance to do artist development. They would send the artists to me that they're thinking about signing and get their writings right, right? Because that's where your money is in your publishing.
right.
Yep.
And so I would teach them, we would go through musical vocabulary, we'd go through lyrical vocabulary. They would listen to Etta James, they would listen to anything from Jean-Luc Ponty, they would listen to, you know, opera. I would give them increase their vocabulary, because a lot of times they don't have a musical vocabulary. So when they go to write, they're saying the same things, they're writing the same way. If you listen to Kai, she doesn't sound the same in any record. She takes on a full persona, right? And then we capture that whole market. We capture the whole thing. So that's the first thing is, if you say you want to do music, at least love music, right? That's the
Exactly.
first thing.
First thing.
The second thing is, which is going to sound a little counterintuitive to what I just said, the music industry. I'm in the music, I love the music business, but the industry is a whole different beast.
Uh,
Okay. The industry is all about productization, it's all about making sure you don't stay on the shelf too long. If you can't move off the shelf quick, then you stay on the shelf because there's someone who wants your spot.
Right.
They want the numbers no matter what. So back in the day, we called it the 10-10 game.
ooh,
Sign a whole bunch of people, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000. That imprint did 1,000,000, right? Based on all those people. So they push them to get to 10,000 units, and then after that, don't really care. Now, if you cut through it, right? Then they're on you because now you have sponsorship. You're a cash cow. That's a different position than being and that first stage of signing.
mm,
It's the whole formula is that you want their marketing dollars. That's why you're there. You're there
Right.
because you think they're going to give you money. It's marketing dollars. It is the most expensive money you're ever going to take in your life
yeah,
from a
and I
label.
right. And I think that's one of the reasons. You remember Coach Tony when they did a behind the music with, I think, TLC,
Mhm.
and when Left Eye was living, she said, "This is how you make or you sell 10 million records, and you're still
And be
broke."
broke. It's expensive money. People don't understand the contracts. They don't know the business. There were times where my daughter's frustrated because I would not even put her in a professional arena until she was 18.
Okay.
She was
Okay.
recruited by Disney. She was recruited by Broadway. She was recruited by Nickelodeon. No, 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 no. She is not an adult. I need her to understand the nuances that are in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a child, right? So she could jam. She played She created, she was in theater, she did choir, she did all the things she wanted to do. She did ballet, she was a point ballerina, right? So she did ballet, she did everything. But when it came to partnering with the industry, no.
You
Because
put the guards up.
yeah, she is significant to me, but she will be
Mhm.
only a number to them.
Right.
That's it.
That's it. That's
I
it.
always talk about the numbers. That's funny you say that, Tina, and that works across the board. I talk to my guys, even in marketing, sales, and all that, and I tell them, it's about the numbers. Me and Val talk about that behind the scenes, just on the podcast and doing things. The old rule of thumb is a rule of 10%. If you want to get 10 there, you got to invite 100 to get 10 people to show up at the house.
Mhm.
Maybe you got to invite 1,000. So, and then, from that 100, maybe only 50 will want to talk to you and come. So you got to be able to do those numbers. But I'm so glad listening to you describe that, because it makes sense now when you hear artists talk about, man, I had to make the music, had to go sell the tickets, had to do the box office, had to make sure I do this and that, and then had to go out to make sure that the DJ and all that was paid. And when it was all said and done, I walked out with $100. Like, what? You didn't get anything? Yeah, but the
They
next show.
forget what it is. Okay, so here's the hardest statement for an artist, for an actor, for any creative. I said it to Val the other day. It's 10% talent, 90% marketing.
Right.
And
Wow.
most people do not even know what making a mark continuously means. That is marketing.
Right.
It's a
And I-
continuous operation. And the only way you can clarify your marketing well is by creating a powerful brand. Your brand is going to constantly attract your tribe.
Correct.
And so in order to do that, you have to know what you want, know your core values, know what you want out of this game. You got to know where you are with, here I am in my beginning stage. Then I'm going to go into my hustle stage. Then I have my legacy stage. Then I have my exit strategy. You have to know what that looks like up front. You plan the divorce in the beginning.
I should have been around you a long time ago. But that is funny, because what you just said is so right. Is plan that work and then work that plan. And if you haven't done it and have that opportunity, you're not going to be able to do it. But you can say what you're going to do, but if you don't really have that and
Just
be able to
do it.
understand it, exactly.
That's
Val
my
and I,
number one. My number one thing is, people, what should I do to get ready? I said, you can get ready to get ready. The one theme that I would say was the key to any of our success is we just did it. I
wow.
wanted to be on the radio. I just did it.
I
I
no
wanted to
roadmap.
do this. You just did it. Like, you couldn't say no. It's going to keep going until you said yes.
Right.
Right. I'm going to
Yes.
figure out. It's a theme, right? I'm always reminded from my family that since I was 3 years old, my number one statement was, who's the boss of you?
Right.
You're not the boss of me. Who's the boss of you?
There
And
you
so I
go.
would just keep going up and figuring out who the boss was. And then I came to the conclusion that I'm the boss. Always. So
Right.
if I know that I'm the boss, that I'm the point, I'm the dot, right? I claim my dot. And then when we come together with our dots, then we can network. Because when you draw the line from dot to dot to dot to dot, now you have a powerful network, but you got to own your dot. And if I meet an artist, I don't care if you can sing like Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, and Mariah Carey. If you don't have any
All
sense,
three
then
of them.
I won't mess with you, because you're going to be victimized. You're going to be hurt
Wow.
in this game, and you're not going to make any money, and you're going to be thirsty, and they're going to make it so that you're thirsty, so that you'll do anything for that mic, anything for that stage. And I will never co-sign that.
Wow. Do you see that? I'm glad you made that a point, because that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Do you see that? Because they always obviously say like sports, which is what I'm in 100% of the time, it's a dog eat dog world. And do you see that on the music side of the house, what you just said a moment ago, where you get these artists that maybe think that they're bigger than what they are, or they become a cash cow, or they don't have what they call their feet solidly planted and crowned, and all of a sudden they become the trick to the mic, where the mic is actually running their career. They don't get a chance to run the mic, but the mic is running them. You see that, and when you see that, what kind of advice do you give those type of artists?
That I try to figure out where their real passion points are, right?
Okay.
Like, what else is there that they're very interested in doing? Like, what difference are they going to make in the planet? Like, what is your contribution? If you were to leave today, are you going to die full or die empty with your gifts? And are they narrow in just this vein, right? So when it comes to like my daughter, I mean, she's my best case in point. She has an education business. She has an AR business. She has a VR business, a blockchain business. We're not depending on anybody. She has her own TV network. Kai TV's on Roku, Apple, everything. We own the food chain. She owns from front, middle, back office, the whole thing, right? That's important to me because if she wants to pivot at any time, she doesn't need anyone's permission to do that. Right now, she's doing an online course, right? She loves my coaching practice. She loves what I do. But she named it Beauty IRL, beauty in real life, being inside out pretty, and not just Instagram fine, right? So she feels like that's what girls want to talk about. How do I win in life, not just online? And so she can make that pivot at any point, and that just happens to be a money machine for her. When she makes pivots like that, stacks the cash, goes back to the music, does the video she wants. Right now she's doing a whole movie.
But you teach her how to do that right up. That's great. I mean, you literally are, it's like at an airport. You're literally setting a runway. And one of our guests, Mark is one of the big guys. Mark, appreciate you. Mark says that, with the Pod TV show that he runs, they have an anti-bullying show that they have on the Pod TV, and it's hosted by a life coach whose also son is a musician. His name is Gene Smith. He's out of Nashville, where I'm located out of, and he's just very happy to see your daughter doing the music she's doing, and especially taking an anti-bullying campaign that's very difficult for kids her age, because if you don't do it right, somebody's always got something to say. And and it was great to see her stand on her mound, so to speak.
Well, she's very disruptive. So you have to really listen to her lyrics. And that's the point. Like her album, this is the 4th installation in one album, 88 songs. The album is called Sex Education.
Ooh.
So she takes you from the trauma of abuse, cutting, self-harm, confidence. Second installation, God is talking to her, giving her permissions around identity. The world's telling her she's one thing. God is saying she's another thing. She's making that decision. Third installation, pop quiz. What are the things that she made deductions about herself in her pop quiz so that she can be mature to be able to make her own decisions? And then she just launched a week ago the Auditorium, the songs that gave her comfort when she was being bullied and she was being harassed and by herself in the auditorium during school. These are the essences and the nuances of the songs and the messages that carried her through. So she takes you through a journey, and it's a movie. If you look at the song, which again it's a provocative title, but she has a song called Cherry Pop. So if you look at the music video, you see what it says. The title says, many people have lost their virginity without consent.
Oh,
you have the opportunity right now to begin again. So, and you see the drama in it, the way they shoot it. It's a full movie series where people can sort of look at it, and we've seen it. It provokes people. They get angry at her. They get upset with her. How dare you say these things? What are you talking about? Healing inner trauma. It's your responsibility. You don't know what happened to me, and blah, blah, blah. But now on the other side of it, they're hearing the whole story.
Right, because what happened to you didn't happen to me. It's 2 different stories. So
but they went from the first installation which is what I was saying to you about Princess Diaries. If you're gonna play a song with no video, Princess
Right.
Diaries is the song. It talks about healing.
Okay.
And she closes all her shows with this song. It's almost like We Are the World. It's
That's
awesome.
amazing. You just
Wonderful.
let her know on that movie, I'm doing my guy, my man's in them.
Oh, no,
So
no, 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 no,
she's
no,
gonna be
no,
a part of that now.
And May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it sounds
Yes.
like a lot of the themes that she is covering definitely hits on all of that.
It's
If
mental
you-
health. It's Mother's Month. And it's my
Mhm.
birthday.
What's
Okay,
the
when's your
birthday?
birthday?
What's the birthday?
May 15th.
Okay,
We have
Woo!
a pretty awesome concert coming up on Sunday, which I'm excited. Lisa the Oracle
okay.
will be in concert here for the mothers, and I'm excited. And then I'm off to New York to challenge the governor and Eric Adams to feed the poor.
Oh, okay.
So
And tell them to
that's how I
change the
want to
healing
spend
now.
my birthday.
Wow, you doing that?
Wow.
You doing that real work on your birthday?
That's really what I do every day. Like people see this part, but our job is to change the frequency of the planet through hope and love.
That
And
is
so we
wonderful.
have 112 now television networks and 41 radio networks connect to your city multi-channel network, in which we get to broadcast transformational content every single day in every language, every niche, all across the world to change the frequency of the planet to God's love.
You
That is
also have a collective. Is that correct? Could you speak on that?
We have a few collectives. I call them circles of impact,
Okay.
right? So we have the podcast collective, which is where I've been teaching joint ventures and strategic alliances for probably 20 years.
okay.
And I didn't know that's what I did. I just did what my parents did when they had a cookout. And you needed
Right.
some this one bought the fried chicken, this one bought the ribs, and that one
Right.
bought the potato salad.
Potluck.
Well, did you
Who
know
has the
that
steak?
that was a strategic alliance? So that's how I learned
With
how to
food.
sell units.
Food,
That's
right?
how I learned how to get numbers quickly. That's
Mhm.
how I knew how to sell product, is by creating these nicheology spaces
Mm.
and teaching people how to negotiate the deal, right? I've done it at the larger realm of negotiating deals, where we've made deals with um, whole countries in order to get mobile units and everything done so that we can get the data right and do distant education, distant learning in
Wow.
Kenya and DRC and Ghana. So we have units there. If you look at, I allude to it on tinamichelle.co. The giving engine is our private businesses. So our music, our fun, our basketball, our Nilo TV, which is, NILs is popping. So Nilo
Papa,
TV is name, image, likeness, ownership television dedicated to that. But we take the proceeds of our private business capital and invest it into social action to cure social issues without government interference.
oh man, you just doing
Love
some.
that.
That's that political science all the way to class number 500.
But I'm not interested. It's funny because I'm poli sci, but I'm not interested in politics. And
Right.
I have a passion about championing the side of the human being.
Yep.
And I may be for you or against you, depends on where you stand, and making sure that that human being is taken care of. And so as we go to New York, my best friend from college owns one of the oldest farms in New York. It started in
Ooh.
1818, the Hepworth Farm. She got the very first license for cannabis in the
Oh,
state of New York. So she has
all right.
100 acres there. So
And
that's
they
a
be doing it
collective.
up, man.
She's one of the few females that is licensed as a commercial cannabis and hemp grower, and she supplies Whole Foods and the Eastern Seaboard with organic fruits and vegetables, and the number 3 donor to the food desert in Manhattan, in New York, and Brooklyn,
Mm.
Bronx, Queens. We're losing 30% of our food. It's not getting to the kids. And so I'm challenging the supply chain,
Right.
and then we're shooting it. And then I'm sending it to the Black Conference of Mayors, and I expect a template to be made to follow it once we figure out how to feed every child in America. This is America. No child should go to bed hungry. Bottom line. So if I
Right.
could get it done in one city, I know that I can't change the whole world, which is sort of my saying. I've been saying this forever. I cannot change the world, but I can change my world and shoot it and be highly contagious in the process.
There you
And so
go.
we're challenging the governors and the mayors. And, I've been a registered ambassador, not an appointed ambassador, and a registered ambassador, which is different, for the United Nations through the Mother Earth Trust. And I negotiated the treaty between the Dakota Nation and President Obama. That's where I got the presidential award. But it was about saving the lives on the reservation. I can't hear you, Val.
No, I'm again, Coach Tony. She just said she got the President's Award.
Hey, listen.
I'm sitting here going, what? And she's running past it like she just told me she just ate some Cheetos. Okay, anyway.
All I know is I just got smacked, and I ain't even see it coming. Man, I love it. Tina, the great part about that is if people tonight, once again, thanks for tuning in. Interludes Talk on Tuesday with our great guest, Tina Michelle. Of course, my girl right here to my side, Val the Voice. I'm Coach Tony. Make sure you like the show, share it, and do more importantly, subscribe. But when you're sitting and you're listening to the things that you've had the opportunity, and you go back and and moms had those 3 jobs, and you're hustling, you're working, you're doing this, and you come into that thing. What makes you happy? Do you get a downtime, or do you get time that you just can say, Musa, and I've accomplished this, or I've accomplished that? Or do you have so many multiple projects going on, you kind of never get to the end of those?
I only have one project, which is to distribute love and hope and change the frequency of the planet. So I consider it as a moonshot, or my Elon Musk model. You can't decide to go to Mars without at least 2,000 patents in between that in order to accomplish the technology that would even remotely be possible to colonize Mars. You can't expect to feed every child in America without at least dealing with some of the most brilliant people in the world that I get to talk to every day on my TV shows and everything else, who have solutions already. My job is simple. I'm broadcasting it. I'm catching people doing the right thing. I'm encouraging people to spend their money with them so that we have sustainability. I'm holding people accountable by shooting people doing the right thing over and over again. My job is simple. I get to tell the story. It's like, I just found this great restaurant, the best food in New York, right? I'm telling everyone about it. And then I'm encouraging them. This is a good job. This is the dividing line in the industry. And I talk about this. My book, I'm almost finished, The Real Manifesto, which is the dividing line. Thank you. I've been writing it only for almost 10 years, not realizing it was even a book. It was the way I lived. Results empowered authentic living. That's what real is. The dividing line between the takers and the givers.
Okay.
It's a heart consideration.
Right.
And it's contagious in either way. I homeschooled my kids for most of their career because I thought about it. I said, would I leave my car with a stranger? Why would I leave my kids with a stranger?
Okay.
Bad character corrupts good behavior. That's what it says. And that's across the board. So when I look at it, I said, we see all this bad stuff. We have Black Empowered has joined in the chat a few times. That's one of our TV networks. That's Black Empowered TV Network, Black Empowered Media Network, BEMN TV. You're Beeman with Beeman. That's one of 112 TV networks. There is nothing negative on that network. Nothing. Not because I don't like what's happening to be exposed. We just have a lot of it. Can we catch people doing the right thing?
Right.
And get more of that, and more of that, and more of that. Right? And so that's what our focus is. So I don't get overwhelmed. Like today, I get a little overwhelmed because we have also a chaplaincy, and I had a gentleman who was trapped in his house. He couldn't get food, and I couldn't get someone to bring food to him. That's when I go, we're not efficient enough. We have to have our efficiencies right. 2 years ago for my birthday, Arizona was considered one of the most food insecure cities, Phoenix, Arizona. And so
Oh,
I called
Lord.
Shamrock Farms and all these different places, and we had 18 wheelers rolling. But for one day, I got to do um 6,500 families I was able to
Oh,
feed.
God. Oh,
But
man.
Wow.
that's only one day, that's only one meal. That's only one day, that's only one meal. Even when I talk about the Drum Major Award, it's not about the fact, even though it was great talking to President Obama, because I got
Mhm.
to facilitate at the Secretariat with him in his last session of the UN.
Mhm.
I was more excited about the fact that it's the Drum Major Award, the Drum Major speech from Dr. Martin Luther King, beating
Mhm.
my own drum. I heard that from when I was a child. I
Right.
didn't get that award for any ambition, and I hope people thematically hear. I never say I'm going to be the best singer in the world. I just want to do it. I love it. It's passion. I just love it. My friend LaDonna, who passed away a year ago, she
Mm.
called me. She said, "Pray with me, sister." That's how that started. She's
Wow.
Sitting Bull's great granddaughter of the Lakota Nation, LaDonna
Oh,
Allard
wow.
Sitting Bull. And I get to represent the indigenous and the indigenous women as a proxy. I represent the Black community. I have not been certified as Cherokee, but I know it's in my family. But
Mhm.
they are the international, I don't call not international, the international concentration camps that we ignore every day, that we
Mm.
have a shared history. There's an intersection of our history. And as long as we do not acknowledge that history, that division will always be there. So those type of things get on my heart because I hear people, and
Mhm.
this is not to shame anyone, say the word minority. I've never heard the word minority until I was in college.
Right.
Oh, wow.
People of color are 3/4 of the world population. We are not a minority,
We're the majority.
precisely.
Yeah.
And then to take that scope even wider, I never heard of life starting in Sweden. I believe it was Africa.
Mm.
So we're all African. The illusion of race is what's killing us. The
Mhm.
illusion of separation and division. My experience as an African American in the United States of America cannot be compromised because it's on the backs of those of that strength. My family, who made the transatlantic journey, the 375 years of slavery and 40 years of legal participation in society, and then another 40 years of silence, that's in my blood.
Mhm.
I don't have to convince you of that. I am. Why aren't you? And I've
Mhm.
always thought that way. I'm lesser because I'm going to put my little finger up. I'm a Christian. Why aren't you a Christian? My father made it all. He made it all. It's that simple. It's not a fight. It's not a battle. It's joy all the time, knowing that every day is the best day ever because I'm here. You're here. We're all here. So let's make something happen. And that's how I raise my kids. My kids dream a dream and they do it, you know. And then I get to mentor kids who dream a dream and they do it. Even for a Sunday, I have two 11-year-old beautiful girls coming,
Oh.
and they are math geniuses. These little melanated, brilliant girls, and so I'm trying to get them involved with the Lego competition, get their STEM dollars up. They're only
Wow.
11. They're going to get dollar matching. They'll be able to go anywhere they want to go. So
Right.
I'm taking them to concerts. I'm taking them to restaurants. Why? Because your language locates you, not your skill set. I wish that was true.
Right. Right. And so happy Mother's Day because it's coming up. Happy
Happy
Mother's Day to
Mother's
you.
Day, and thank
Definitely.
you for coming by. Man, this has been awesome.
I know. I know. And if people wanted to find out more about what you do, where they can actually see some of the networks and some of the things that you do, and to support your daughter, I am Kai, where would they go?
Well, my informational site is tinamichelle.co. That's where I send
Mhm.
people so they can catch the vision. I'm finally at a place from letting people see my rework on my main site, which is tinaspeaks.com.
Okay.
And you're going to be
Wow.
able to start to see my reiteration of my brand, which it was just a talk show. And, it was great. But I've been doing this I've been on air since I was 16, 17. I had to get an FCC license to be on air, right? That's how
Mhm.
long ago it was. We couldn't just get
Okay.
on air. So I knew there was another iteration. And what naturally happened starting in 2012 is that my
Right.
guests were so cool. We just kept producing shows for them, producing shows for this one. Then we started to program TV networks around these niches. You're going to see that all in Tina Speaks now. Tina Speaks is no longer just a conversation. Now it's a production unit of multiple brands that are coming on board, and we're putting them on the rails of our distribution. We have 5 million unique views collectively just in our Black
Wow.
assets. We don't know about the other 102 because everything is based on indigenous communities of viewers and people who meet in real life, right?
Right.
So now my goal this year is to start counting the collectives. We have the Latin USA Network, which we're now opening Latin USA
Ooh.
LA.
All right.
That already has 6 million unique viewers. We have 4
Mhm.
cannabis records networks that already has over 8 million unique viewers. We have the
Mm.
Black Media Collective. That's almost 15 million viewers. And we're engaging them now, right? In social radio TV. That's what I'm calling it. Where I can count my numbers, get action plans to the viewers, have them interact real time while doing global distribution and connecting them with each other. So they have sponsors, they have guests. There's no reason for you not to have everything you need if you're connected into a collection. It's our
Wow.
community that serves us.
Excellent.
That's
Excellent.
well,
So
thank
that'll
you,
be
Miss
at
Sims. Oh man.
tinaspeaks.com. Pretty soon.
And I have TinaMichelle.co. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
You
we
meet
have
my
both
whole
of those.
team there. So that, it's not just me. And that's another probably big question people have. How do you do it all? I don't. Here's what I get to do. I get to coach and cultivate and develop, just like I
Mhm.
did artist development. Now I'm
Right.
doing sort of like brand and life development, and those are my partners. So when you see me traveling and we're doing all different things, these are people that I coached and I worked with. They're the people I trust because we are not like-minded. We are like-hearted. We want to get back to people, to humanity.
Right. And Mark Lee, he's in the audience. He's saying, keep dropping those jewels. That's just for you, Tina.
Aw,
And of course, Kevin Springer out of Brooklyn, he's saying
thank
hashtag
you.
happy
Thank you.
Mother's Day to you. And Mark Lee also says, I remember when we had to get the FCC license back in the day.
My mama had to sign it. My mother had to sign it, and then when I went on TV, I don't know, I was only on for 5 minutes. I'm not gonna say it was a big deal. It was a
Mhm.
big deal to me because I would have to be at Metal Shop at 120 minutes with Adam Curry, beginning of MTV. If you remember Adam Curry back then, so 5 minutes of him doing Metal Shop. I had like a contract this big because I was underage.
Okay. You're I don't know what's happening with your internet. Your internet's doing something really funky. You start to sound like the
Oh,
Oh,
that's how you guys were sounding to me earlier.
Never learn to swim. Can't catch the rhythm of the stroke.
All right. Well, Tina, thank you so much for joining us on
Thank
tonight.
you.
Man, oh man, I have learned so much. And like
I'm
I
a,
said, come back and see us.
I
And
will.
Tina, I
and
want you on the show too. Me and Val plan to do a house music show, and I definitely want you on
Oh,
that.
one
That
of my
night.
best friends. Can you hear me? Do I sound like the Matrix?
no, you
So, no,
sound
you
better
sound
I
now.
want
fine.
you to
We
hear
want.
this
We want.
well. One of my best friends is about to release a house record.
Ooh,
What?
I want to work on something like that myself. I've been talking to a couple
You
people. I
know
know.
her. You know her for her rap game.
Uh
She is the baby sister of E40.
Okay.
And Sugar T's record is
Sugar T.
fire.
Okay, Sugar T. Sugar T
She
about to
can
do a house.
sing. The girl can sing. She can
I ain't
sing.
know you about to do a house. I need to hear that. But we definitely want you because I want to have you reach out to Marshall Jefferson for us.
Yes.
I just told Val the other day, my
Mhm.
good friend, my neighbor I grew up with, my homeboy, Vince Lawrence, was with Jesse Saunders and the guys who originally was the house music godfathers. in the city, Chip E and all them boys. And I used to DJ with them back in the day. So we're trying to put a lot of that stuff together and get everything. So I definitely would love your input, your help on getting some of those house music guys. I would love to have them on.
If I can't reach him, Cece can. My boy Cece Rogers, even Cece Peniston, she's dope too. She's still doing her thing.
Love to
But if
have
you
some
notice,
people.
I want to make a distinction because I know people hear what they want to hear. I want to just leave you with something. The names that I dropped are not necessarily the names that Val really wanted to hear. I know what she wanted to hear, right? Maybe not, because really you stood uncomfortable with it. Everyone's dropping those names. I want to say Colonel Abrams. I want to say Marshall Jefferson. I want to say people that we may forget in our consciousness. Miles Davis, right? I want to say those names because they're my history. My mom we used to go to Harlem to the bookstore, Hunan Bookstore on 125th Street. And we used to have tea with Gil Scott Heron.
Oh my gosh, Gil Scott Heron?
I want to say that name. I don't want to say the other names. Everybody's saying those names. We need to remember who we are. We need to remember them by continuously lifting their names up in our memories and in our hearts. That's just how I feel. So I just sort of drop those names. And everything that I do is the final thing is I do it because it's fun. I don't do it because I may not even make a dime. Most of the things I've done, I never did before. It just looked fun, fabulous, unique, and in the now.
Right.
And because of that, it generates excitement and everyone's excited. And then the money just shows up, right?
Which is great.
Opportunities just show up. But most importantly is like-hearted people show up. And that's worth more than money. That's worth more than gold.
Man, wow, man, this been. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, we appreciate you so very much. And like Mr. Springer said, hashtag Happy Mother's Day and happy future birthday.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, great.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. What was that again?
I said my artists keep calling back to back for Sunday because we have the show Sunday, so they're rehearsing right now. So
okay.
They're like, "Why aren't you here yet?" So I got to get to work.
Let you go.
See you later.
Thank you so very much, Tina.
Ciao.
Oh my gosh. Woohoo. Woohoo. Oh my goodness. I feel totally educated.
I feel like you done took a boomerang and took all my gifts and threw them out the window and got your one and just wrapped me up, man. I'm talking about, man, that is like an encyclopedia of just we.
I know. And the folks that she worked with and the folks that she grew up with, and because her parents, mainly her mom, who did background vocals and they just would pop by the house. She grew up with music. So that's a completely different vibe. And like I said, real education. I knew when I had her on the after show and she was kind of dropping those gems there, I says, no, we're going to have her come physically to the show so we can see her. She can talk about what she does. Coach, let's do this because we're going to wrap up next week. It's the Pull Up Podcast Show. Who are you going to have on there?
Man, we are pulling up on Monday night. Don't meet me there, beat me there. I keep telling you guys, it's the Pull Up Podcast Show with your guy, Coach Tony. We got a guest of mine that's been with us before, that's coming, who's now made a big stride in his career, Coach Travis McAveen, who is now, Val, going down to the Caribbean islands, girl, as a head basketball coach. So we're going to talk about the trials, the tribulations, and things he's gone through, the opportunities of going into the brand new team, what it's going to be about. And man, please come and join us. And in a few weeks, I've got Dr. Kiki Barnes from Dillard University will be on with us. So stay tuned and listen out. That's going to be a heck of a show. So we're starting to pick up the steam with the Pull Up Podcast Show, Val.
I know, and I'm very, very proud of it. And I thank you guys for all of your support with the Pull Up Podcast. Coach Levine was here first with the Talk on Tuesdays, but now he's going to be coming on to Tony's platform. So that's going to be fun. And of course, want to remind everyone about A DJ Saved My Life. The book is going to be released soon. We want to thank everyone that has purchased an e-copy. It is the ABCs of starting your own podcast. And of course, my personal memoir. It's by Val the Voice Johnson. I'm so grateful that you guys are supporting that as well. And if you'd like to start your own podcast, please join us over in our Patreon community. And that is patreon.com/interludes. Man, this has been a great extended remix of our show, Coach. Man, I'm so proud.
If you hear that noise in the background, it's a fire truck because it's been so hot up in here.
Oh my gosh, very much so. But come join us on next week. Oh wait, I see some more people in the chat. They're chatting away on the way out the door. Okay, thank you so very much for that, Mr. Springer. Then Chris, okay, thank you so much for that as well.
I see you, Chris. That's my guy. That's my guy coming on my AAU team. I see him coming strong, baby. One of my best PGs I got on the team, man. Appreciate y'all checking in tonight. Kevin Springer.
Of course, Mr. Springer. So we'll see you guys on next week. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Peace.